The Last Supper is one of the most significant events in the Bible. It marks the final meal that Jesus shared with his disciples before his crucifixion. This event is described in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The Last Supper is a cornerstone of Christian faith, symbolizing Jesus' sacrifice and the establishment of a new covenant. The meal was the Passover, commemorating the Israelites' escape from Egypt. Jesus used this opportunity to teach important lessons and prepare his disciples for the difficult times ahead. He showed his love by washing their feet, an act of humility and service. He introduced the practice of communion, still observed by Christians today. This meal became a symbol of his enduring presence and the hope of eternal life. Understanding this event helps us appreciate the foundations of Christian belief and the powerful messages of love, sacrifice, and redemption. Jesus gathered with his disciples for the Passover meal. This was a special occasion for the Jewish people, celebrating God's deliverance of the Israelites from Egyptian bondage. The disciples were excited to share this important tradition with their teacher. They did not fully understand what was about to happen. The room was filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread and roasted lamb. Jesus looked around at his friends, knowing this would be their last meal together. As they began the meal, Jesus took the opportunity to teach. He spoke about the bread and the wine, giving them new meaning. The bread was his body, broken for them. The wine was his blood, shed for the forgiveness of sins. This was a new covenant, a promise of salvation and eternal life. The Passover meal took on a new and profound meaning as Jesus transformed it into a symbol of his ultimate sacrifice. One key moment of the Last Supper was when Jesus broke the bread. He blessed it, saying, "Take, eat, this is my body." Then he took the cup, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, this is my blood of the covenant." These actions symbolized his sacrifice and the new covenant. Section 4. Emotions of the disciples, love and betrayal. The emotions at the Last Supper were intense and varied. On one hand, there was a sense of camaraderie and love. However, there was also a sense of underlying tension. Jesus had hinted at his impending death and spoke of betrayal. The disciples' emotions ranged from deep love to fear and confusion. The Last Supper was a moment of profound emotional complexity. Section 5. Judas' betrayal and its significance. Judas Iscariot's betrayal is one of the most pivotal moments in the story of the Last Supper. Judas, one of the 12 disciples, had secretly agreed to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Jesus, aware of Judas's plan, addressed the betrayal during the meal, saying, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples were shocked and saddened by this revelation. Judas's betrayal fulfilled Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah being betrayed by a close friend. It also set in motion the events leading to Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion. Despite knowing of the betrayal, Jesus did not treat Judas with anger or disdain. Instead, he showed love and compassion even in the face of betrayal. Judas's actions serve as a reminder of the consequences of turning away from God's love and grace. Even in betrayal, Jesus' response was one of forgiveness and mercy. Judas's betrayal is a powerful lesson on the complexities of human nature and the depth of divine grace. Section 6. The lasting impact of the Last Supper, hope and forgiveness. The Last Supper has left an indelible mark on Christianity. It is a symbol of hope and forgiveness, central to the Christian faith. The breaking of the bread and the sharing of the wine are rituals that have been passed down through generations. They serve as a reminder of Jesus' sacrifice and the promise of eternal life. Jesus knew his time was short, yet he focused on comforting and preparing his disciples. He offered them hope in the form of a new covenant, a promise of salvation and eternal life. Forgiveness is another key theme of the Last Supper. Jesus forgave his disciples for their shortcomings and even forgave Judas for his betrayal. The lasting impact of the Last Supper is seen in the practice of communion, a time for believers to reflect on Jesus' sacrifice and renew their commitment to living a life of faith and love. The Last Supper continues to be a source of inspiration, reminding us of the power of hope and forgiveness in our own lives.